polyamory, sacred relationships, the feminine and the masculine. Let's talk about it, right? This is obviously a hot topic right now, and if you know, you know. When I tuned into this topic and I asked Source to really download the full spectrum perspective, Source came through and wanted to talk about energetic fields. Hi guys, welcome. I'm talking about polyamory. Obviously, we have a hot topic in the spiritual community right now. If you know Aubrey Marcus and his whole situation, but this is not just about one person, their union and their situation. So Source wants to talk about your energetic field. Everybody has experienced this. When you come into total truth, total resonance, total just absolute presence and alignment with something, ding, 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 it goes off that in your field, you are closed off, right? You're closed off to other connections. You're closed off to other interactions. And it's not just in the instance of relationships. It could even be you get the dream job of your life. Ding, ding, ding. Something goes off in your soul, in your spirit that says the field is now closed, okay? If the field is not closed, then you are going to feel like perhaps there are other connections. So what I want to speak to is if you feel like your field is still open to other connections, that's not the issue. That's not the problem. The issue is, let's not dress it up in spiritual language and say, oh, it's radical monogamy and it's this and it's that. Let's just call it what it is. You're not fully sold on someone. The connection is not, you're not fully stimulated. It doesn't even mean that you don't have deep reverence or love or respect for a person, but there's something in your spirit, in your body telling you that your energetic field is still open, right? We've all experienced this. You could meet somebody tomorrow and you go, that's it. You could be dating multiple people at the same time, but you meet this one person, like as a single person dating, you meet this one person and your soul just knows. You just go, this is it. If that's not happening, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's not happening, let's not call it something else. Let's just say my spirit, my soul is telling me that I'm still open to explore other connections. Because what's been happening in the spiritual space is people who are exploring these alternative lifestyles within relationship containers, they're trying to project onto other people that they might not be evolved enough, or they might not be as advanced in their consciousness because they can't hold multiple relationship containers. That's when it becomes spiritual ego, right? That's when it becomes let's just call it what it is. Like, I just want to be raw about this. Let's just call it what it is. So for those who are hopping on, like we're talking about divine union, polyamory, and I want to reemphasize what Source brought to me about an energetic field. Your energetic field, your soul is going to let you know, am I still open or am I closed? If I'm still open, okay, let's be honest. I'm still open to other connections. There's something here that isn't fully stimulating to me. You can relate that to a person, you can share that with a person, and then it is their choice, right? Okay, well, thanks for that honesty. I now get to decide if this is something that I want to explore and co-create with you. But if we're trying to make it seem like something else, if we're trying to make it seem like it's this really rare advanced soul contract and all this bullshit, all this nonsense, and other people are not advanced enough to hold this much love. Because let me tell you something about monogamous relationships. And by the way, this is coming from a place of non-judgment. Like, I don't care what people do in their relationship situation, in their dating and relationship situations. When you are fully locked in with a person, all of these themes of jealousy, control, manipulation, or insecurities, all of these things still come up in a monogamous relationship, or have the potential to come up in a monogamous relationship. You don't have to force yourself to go through a series of what you perceive to be ego deaths, right? Believing, well, I have to put myself through this pain. I have to override the primal feelings that arise within my being that say I am not safe. I have to override that and overcome that to then prove to source that I am now a higher consciousness being. Well, no, because when you're locked in with one person, especially over a duration of time, there are so many phases and waves, especially within a marriage, that come up. And the ability, right, the ability to ride that wave with one person and experience true depth and experience this mirror, this reflection that's in front of you 24/7, right? If you're in a divine union and you're locked into this monogamous experience with someone, when something gets rough or difficult or hard, you don't get this. I mean, obviously people cheat, but you don't get to say, okay, well, it's getting pretty intense. I'm going to go hang out with my side boyfriend or girlfriend, right? I see that as people actually running away from the depth, the commitment, and the uncomfortability that can arise in a monogamous relationship. So somebody says, is poly just an excuse to not be monogamous? I think people in polyamorous situations, so there are different archetypes. So sources coming through, we want to clarify. There are different archetypes in soul contracts, 100%. Everyone is not designed to be monogamous in this particular incarnation for various reasons, right? They could be coming out of a most recent lifetime where that was the dynamic, so their energetic field is actually still set up that way. They're just showing me in the field like there's so many reasons why how this energy manifests in form. What we're speaking to is a level of high frequency honesty. I'm not fully stimulated. I still feel in my spirit that my field is open to other experiences, interactions, and partners. That's it. And if that is the case, just say that from the beginning, and you can just be a single. You can be a single person that dates. Why try to convince yourself and other people that it's not just that? Okay, so is it an excuse to not be monogamous? Maybe, but I think it's more so avoiding the uncomfortability of the truth, which is you can be in love with someone but still feel like they are not the one. When you meet the one, or the one for that particular time in your life, right? Like we're saying, there's an alarm or a signal that goes off in your spirit that lets you know the field is now closed. It's a closed container. If that doesn't happen, honoring that for yourself and also being honest and transparent for all whom you're interacting with, that is the highest integrity. So sources saying, they're like, we don't care who you sleep with, right? We think you're all beautiful, amazing. We understand the primal desire that can arise to experience the divine within multiple people. We're talking about honesty and integrity. You don't have to be ashamed. If you know that your field is still open to another connection, really what this boils down to is the ego is attached, right? The ego is attached to, oh, well, if I'm honest with this person and I let them know that this doesn't fully stimulate me and I can feel that I'm looking for something else, then maybe this person leaves me. But here's the thing. You've got to give them that choice. If you're not giving them that choice, you're out of integrity. Okay, you're out of integrity because, okay, this is what we want to talk about. We want to talk about, I do want to touch specifically on the Aubrey Marcus dynamics that I did watch their podcast that I dropped and like what I noticed. And first I just want to say deep respect and reverence to Aubrey, his wife, all the key players. I don't know these people personally, and this is not coming from a place of judgment at all. When I was tuning into what his wife was talking about, that she had never experienced monogamy, even in a monogamous relationship structure, meaning she has always experienced a masculine being untruthful or unfaithful. I could clearly see the magnetization of a man that would lead with monogamy, right, to capture her heart, and then years later down the road, right, kind of pull this rug from beneath her feet and go, oh, surprise, I actually do want to explore polyamory. And I could clearly see the wound, right, because wounds and trauma have an attractive power. I could clearly see the wound attracting this dynamic and this thing playing out, because it's not that there aren't men who would want to be fully devoted or committed to one woman. It's not that that's not the case, right? So it's that, and then she said something, I don't think I'm ever going to meet another person who is as great as this. Oftentimes what we do as women, or what many unhealed women do, is just because somebody is even, let's say, 80%, giving you 80% of what you want to experience. The ego will say, well, because I'm getting 80%, right, on my little checklist, I don't believe that I could get more. So I much rather settle. When we look at age, when we look at the desire to have children, and then you have this ticking clock, okay, well, if I leave this situation, maybe there's financial comfortability involved in all of that. And these are reasons why someone's ego might enable them to be attached to a situation that wherein they're not experienced the 100%. So if you've never experienced what you would perceive as 100% from somebody, that is now embedded in your psyche that, hey, this is as good as it's going to get. This is as good as it's going to get. So now, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but it's just different perspectives are coming in. For some women and men, they truly love and like this type of relational setup. I think why so many women in the spiritual collective were triggered by the conversation here is because it seemed really clear that this was not a natural, organic desire arising from the wife, right? This was, I have to override these feelings. I had to do so much deep work. Whenever something's a full body fuck yes, totally in alignment, there's not all this work. But sometimes when we're in something, and especially when we love somebody and we thought we were in a monogamous, devoted relationship, the ego comes in and says, well, no, this is why you should stay, or this is why you should choose this, or will things ever be this good? Will you ever be in a situation that's equally as financially safe and comfortable? Will you ever be in a situation where this is provided and you get this benefit and you get... I want men and women to be extremely aware of where you are attached to something because of what you think you're getting that you can't get elsewhere. That's how you know. Even in a monogamous context, right? People stay in situations because they feel like if I leave, maybe there's a lifestyle change, right? And that's uncomfortable. Or, there's something that the ego doesn't want to give up. There's something that the ego doesn't want to give up. Ask yourself, because this is what's happening. What you are getting from this person, two things. You're believing that source can't replace it in a way that is compatible with you, meaning there is no sacrifice, there is no compromise, or you're just believing that you can't get this directly from source. That's when the personal ascension journey is activated. We can apply this in any context of your life. Where do I believe that I'm getting something that I can't get elsewhere like source can't replace it or put me in a different situation, or that I just can't get directly from spirit on my own. And what you'll find is this is where the sacrifice, the compromise, the overriding of the innate desire or requirements, safety needed. So there's one thing coming through here about the feminine that we all need to understand. The feminine is deeply complex within her emotional body. Highly, highly, highly psychic and intuitive. The reason why most women are not attuned to this frequency of openness is because we require safety to thrive. That's just innate in our spiritual and biological chemistry of what we need to feel protected. Because when we feel safe, when we feel protected, our heart fully opens to nurture and bring love into any dynamic, any space, any place. If an energetic field is open, what does that trigger in the feminine emotional body? Well, she has to continuously be on guard as it pertains to unknown variables and factors. So for my ladies here, if a man has ever come to you and said, I want to be in an open relationship, what immediately happens in your body? I'm not safe. This is not safe. Why do you feel that way? Because energetically what he's saying is, I would like to open up the field. I would like to open up the field. And if we open up this field to multiple players and multiple partners, we're now introducing unknown variables and factors. I'll use a personal example of this. Me and my husband have had conversations about not polyamory, because that's just a fuck no for me. But like sometimes there will be different business collaborations and things that we do. So an example of like opening up the field, and I'm like, there's something energetically about that I don't like. I can't really explain why. I don't have the logical details, but my psychic antenna is picking up on something in the quantum field that says, I don't want to open that energetic door. Okay? I don't want to open up that door because my spirit knows something that I can't yet see. So when you ask women to be in non-monogamous relationships, understanding that we're deeply psychic and intuitive, how many alarms do you think have to constantly be going off to manage the energetic maintenance of that type of openness? Yes, someone says, every time it's been mentioned to me, my body has a visceral reaction. I think all of the men that I've dealt with just know, like, it's a no for me. But I did have one ex that brought this forward, and I could immediately tell where it was coming from. It was coming from lack. It was coming from trauma. It was coming from you're not willing to validate certain bullshit that I'm bringing to you. So, hey, let me go avoid my trauma, and instead of doing the work, let's have an open relationship. No. Exit stage left. Exhausting, right? Someone says this is exhausting. Now again, there are some people with this archetype that they really are not here to experience one true love. This is just what's coming through from source. They're just not here to experience one true love. If you feel that you hold that blueprint, you have a great responsibility to operate with integrity, where as soon as possible, you need to be letting people know as soon as possible, one relationship doesn't stimulate me. Exactly. They shouldn't be in a traditional relationship. It should be honestly, I don't know why these people just don't stay single and date around, right? I think that's great when people are single. I've had phases in my life where I'm like, I'm not open to a serious relationship right now. I'm just in my feminine freedom. I'm exploring multiple connections. And no one's confused. No one's going to get hurt. But when we have to use this spiritual psychology and language to try to explain something that really isn't that deep or complicated, okay, we are creating fractures in the field because we're making people think that there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them, that they're having these very natural, innate feelings that say, I'm not safe in this. Just be fucking single. I don't get it. And again, I promise this is not judgment. I promise this is not judgment. It's just, we have to do things in integrity in this space, especially when you have a platform, especially when multiple people are looking up to you for guidance and influence, and they think, you know what, maybe that's the way. Nothing else seems to be working. Maybe that's the way. But no, there's work. There's no such thing as no work to do. If you're single, there's still work. If you're in a monogamous marriage or relationship, there's still work. If you want to have multiple connections at once, there's still work. There's no such thing as avoiding the work. So let me get caught up on the comments. I was just kind of in a deep rant there. I just want to see what folks are talking about. Ooh, yes. I experienced that and can remember my body going into survival as a married woman. This is the thing about women. Remember, and for all of my men here, I want you to understand the mechanics of our emotional body. Highly sensitive, deeply intuitive. When you say you want to open up the field, we go into survival. It just happens. We go into survival because, and it has nothing to, it's not just about, I've got to overcome this jealousy and this competition. And listen, it's energetic maintenance of a field. This is just what it is. When you open up the field to multiple connections and multiple energetic doorways, in the multidimensional landscape, because each person that comes in, right, they're coming with so much energetically. Like if you could see this in the field, one person, what they come with energetically is so much energy and contracts and cords. Bringing that into a woman's field, her being extremely sensitive, it's going to put her in a state of shock. And she's going to go, okay, wow. That's a lot to energetically manage. Yes, I'm going to post this on YouTube. That's a lot to energetically hold. So there's certain collaborations in business that either I have to do or my husband have to do. And we always have to have conversations. Is this an energetic door that we want to open? Is this a person we need to be connected to? Is this a situation we need to be connected to? Is this an event I need to speak at? Right? This is not just purely about relationships. This is about becoming an architect of your, an overseer of your energetic field. What am I inviting in? I am so particular about the frequencies that I allow in my life for this exact reason. There are just certain energetic doors that don't need to be open. They just don't need to be open. I want to touch on this other piece, which is because we have deep connections and love with people that extends across multiple timelines and dimensions and lifetimes, especially when we're talking about twin flame dynamics. 100% you can be in a situation where it feels impossible to walk away because the love is that deep. It feels impossible to walk away. I want to speak to anyone that's experiencing that in any capacity, any type of relationship structure. If there is an emotional sacrifice, meaning you have to override something that feels so clear, in your primal body, raw emotions, feelings. If there's a lot of work you have to do to override that, chances are this is not for you. Because love is easy. Love is safe. Oof, love is safe. Love is a homecoming. You know what we're all looking for? We're all looking for that feeling. Some of us have already experienced it. But that feeling when you come back into total union with Source, and it's the deepest love. It's the grandest love. It's the most gentle, soft, fierce, passionate love. It's all encompassing. There is no flaw within you. You just feel fully held, fully accepted, fully honored, fully sacred. That feeling of that type of union is what we're all searching for in every aspect of our lives. And if it doesn't feel like that, chances are it's time to release. The highest feeling of love we can imagine comes from Source. And so every love that you're looking for, you're looking for that. That's what you're searching for. If it doesn't feel like that, if it doesn't feel totally awe-inspiring, non-compromising, you see, Source is using this example of we are all individuations of God. You are God. And the highest joy for the soul is when we have these moments where we feel like God. For some people, it's, let's say they're an athlete and they get the home run, or they have the slam dunk, or for some people they're artists and they're on stage and they're singing or performing in front of a crowd, or whatever it is, whatever these things are. But in these instances, we experience total union with Source. It's just a flow, right? It's just the most interconnectedness we can feel, but we feel like God. It's like that feeling like if someone hit the lottery, it's like, oh my gosh, I just hit the jackpot. You should feel like that in a relationship. You should feel like that in a job. You should strive to feel like that in every aspect of your life. I hit the jackpot. I'm the one. I'm the chosen one. I am the chosen one. When that frequency of being the chosen one is the same frequency of what it feels like when you remember that you are God. When you return back to the Godhead and you go straight to Source and you go, I was God the whole time. And all of the illusions collapse and all of the attachments collapse. That is the feeling that we're all looking for in every single thing that we do. I hope I'm articulating this well. So to be chosen, to be fully claimed, to be fully held as the one, the reason why that can be a reflection of the highest love is because that's what it feels like when we come into total union with Source. We feel that I am the only one, because really you are the only one, meaning consciousness is the only one. So this is not about this is not about the ego. This is not about being an ego from a place of I need to be the only one to be validated. It's that truly I am the only one. And everything I experience in my life could be a mirror of that. And I could feel that sense of union with God's Source in everything that I do, in all of my interactions and everything that I experience. So this was my little 2 cents mixed in with some channeling. And at the end of the day, all paths lead home. No matter how you walk this path, no matter how you choose to experience it, it's all beautiful. The soul is having a great time. So let's be gentle. Let's be kind. But let's also hold each other accountable when we need to. And let's maintain a space of purity and integrity And that is my cue to hop off. Much love, guys. Peace.